Good morning, everybody. Yes. You got to this point. This is worth celebrating. I know. We take the small victories, like Thursday. It's a small enough victory. We'll take it, right?
Yeah.
Gotta take everyone. Gotta take
Every
everyone.
single one. You got to. That's right. And so we've got a lot to tell you about this morning, but we'll get to that in a second. This morning it is me, it is Pumi, it is Mbulelo, but we're in slightly different places today. Whereas I was in Knysna on Monday or Tuesday, both. Whereas Mbulelo was still at the Otter Trail on Sunday. Now he's in Cape Town. Yes,
I am. It's grim. It's raining.
Grim, is it? So, first of all, poor Pumi had 4 hours of sleep last night because she had to make cupcakes.
Is that how we're opening it up?
No, well, I feel bad for you because I also had 4 hours of sleep, but I don't have an excuse. You at least were trying to do the right thing. So poor Pumi was busy making cupcakes for her son's birthday today. So you're obviously sending the cupcakes to school, right? Anyway, she had...
Well, I still have to ice them, so I'm going to drop them off at school after the show.
Oh my God!
Very nice.
Boy, you see even more to do. But this is how you want to get something done. Ask a busy person.
Yeah.
You're living proof of that. So she was up last night. She was up last night.
But we have to accept, guys, that this is also so. Probably 636 is when he was born, 14 years ago. That's when I entered into this long con. It's a long con. I've been had.
You see, what you've just said, what no parent is allowed to say socially, because it's unacceptable. You don't dare ever say, "Oh my God, I made this terrible deal with myself, and now it's not bearing dividends."
Listen. We're in a pandemic now. I think we're in a pandemic now. We can be honest with each other and ourselves. It's important because, everything's like upside down. The whole world's upside down.
Leave the bullshit at the door. So Pumi was up late last night doing cupcakes, and then just to add insult to injury, Eskom decides to load shed her as she puts the first pan of cupcakes into the oven. And then she has to wait 2 hours to do the rest of them. You poor woman. And you see why I started with you. I said this yesterday with, we had Trevor Gumbi on yesterday, who was on.
He was hilarious.
Oh my God. Hear it?
He was hilarious.
But some of the things he says, like he made some Gossie Johnson joke yesterday, which, I mean, I just, if anyone except Trevor said it, I would be horrified and I would be cross with them and I wouldn't ever want them on the show again. But because it's him, he gets away with anything. So he was on yesterday and I said to him, like, this load shedding in the month before elections, when they actually seem to have managed things for the previous 2 months. I know it's small, slim pickings.
It was 3 months. It was actually 3 months since when I looked at my app. It said 3 months since the last time we were load shedded. You know what it reminded me of? And it's because I even tweeted about it yesterday, like 2 days ago. Coconut Cows, Lisa Khotlabi, she tweeted, she has this thing that she does Instagram stories on Mondays, and it's always the most horrifying things that ever known to man. I don't know how she comes up with these topics. Yeah. But on Monday, the topic was about how badly guys treat you and then not break up with you, just so that you can break up with them, right? And I was horrified at the concept. I'm still horrified at the concept. But so many people were responding to it that it must be a thing that people live through. And I was just like, what? I feel like that about the Eskom and the government. Is like we're now at that stage of the relationship where they're just treating us so badly. Like you have no choice but to break up with them.
Well,
they just don't care anymore.
Either they've got so much hubris and they're so convinced of their own glory. Because you see these posters, and we said yesterday that there aren't any ANC posters out. I got emails and social media from people.
Showing you posters.
They told me that posters. So the ANC posters, it's the same old. They might as well have just used Jacob Zuma face and then It looks like they did, and they stuck Cyril on top of it. But Cyril's got like this. In fact, the thing that someone said in the one email is the pictures of Cyril smiling like Jay-Z, and it's very triggering were their words.
Yeah.
And either they really just think that people are so dumb that they'll continue to vote for them, which is what a lot of anti-ANC people also think about ANC voters. And I've always defended them and said, not the ANC, but the voters. I always said they're not dumb. They're loyal. They're motivated by different things. But maybe the ANC actually thinks they're dumb, like the people who are anti-ANC. Or, as you say, Pumi, it's just an abusive relationship where they actually they see it for what it is. And there's so much cynicism now baked into the political pie that they're going to see how far they can push you. They're going to actually see what they can do to you, like an abusive husband or wife. They're going to go, all right, as long as I'm going to show you how bad this relationship can get. Let's see if
everything, even the messaging, right? So even the messaging that we have seen is messaging that says, "Baby, give me one more chance."
Mm-hmm. I swear this is the last time. I'll never hit you again. I'm really
give
sorry.
Me one more chance.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you had to do the cupcakes, but Bulelo's got his own problems this morning.
In his Otter Trail jacket.
Well, yeah, we got to talk about this because I know a lot of people who've been caught out this way. So it's not like a lie, but he's in a Airbnb, right? I know you laughing because you already know.
Oh no, I know where this is going. Tell us, Mbu.
He thought it was an apartment, a freestanding apartment, separate building, like an apartment or in a block or something where he would be independent. Turns out the place that he booked misrepresents itself, and it's in someone's house.
Yeah. No, I'm inside someone's house as a grown-up.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yes.
Inside, like a cottage?
So no. You see, that's what it was presented like that. And on Airbnb, you can pick whether you want free like apartments or whatever. So it was presented like you're thinking, right? But I have to come through someone's house in order to I know. So it's an apartment in the house, and I'm like, what the hell is this now?
I hate that.
Imagine. And now, like, well, what do I do now?
Unacceptable. If you want to go to the shops, you want to go for a run, you have to use her or his front door the whole time. I'm sorry, it's just not right. You can't. In fact, you shouldn't even be. That should be a whole different category of Airbnb. It's like Airbnb Lite. Like if you get an Uber or you get an Uber Black. With an Uber Black, you're going to get a smart car that doesn't stink like someone's been sleeping in it all night, and it's going to be a driver who's got 5 stars and all that kind of shit. There should be this Airbnb Lite where it says to you, now your feedback has got to be, listen, I'm sorry, you're very nice people, but you're not allowed to advertise that this is an apartment. It's a room in your house. Yes. And I feel like I've moved back in with the parents.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, and now, but I'm here now. Like, what do I do? The location is exactly what I needed. I'm here for work. It's exactly next to the Cape Town Stadium where I'll be working for the weekend. And like, what do I do? Pick up my stuff now in the rain and go and look for another. So, but I just wish they'd say that you are in a family or in a home. It just so happens that there's a room big enough. And now, but what do? I blame myself. You have to blame yourself. I should have looked better. I'm the problem.
Cindy Sue says, I'm scared of the review that Bulelo will leave these people. Nico says, you have to relocate, MK.
So you're there for the weekend?
I'm here for the I'm here for the weekend. I mean, I'm here till Sunday. So who knows? Who knows how maybe I just need to go and have my first cup of coffee. I'll go to Giovanni's and have a nice ciabatta and whatever breakfast, and then we'll see how I'm feeling after that. I'll go see Sean Saunders, one of our clients, a little bit later. Yeah, maybe I'll warm to this idea that I just need a bed, but it's lying. What it is. It's lying. Don't lie.
Listen, I know people are all trying to make money in this economy, and I get it. And I see some people are offering really great deals, even in places that perhaps South Africans wouldn't have been able to afford before, because the international market would have taken all that money. Or brought that money rather. And I don't mind if people try to make their place look really nice on the internet, but it's like these property people, estate agents. You see the photographs and you think, wow, that is a lot of house for a couple of $100,000, and you go and look at it and you're like, okay, now I can see this is bullshit. But you don't actually see it in person, because you can take pictures of a place and it can look really impressive. But when you eat it, can be awful.
Yeah. At which stage is it, advertising, putting your best foot forward, and then just blatant, like Bulelo says, lying?
Well, you're the only one out of the three of us who's actually been in the advertising business. So you tell us where that line is.
Yeah, but that's complete overpromising, right? There's still intrinsics. There's still intrinsics of the stuff that you say. If you like walking through someone's house, that's not freestanding.
No. That should be like top line, because that would put me off, even if it was a beautiful house. Even if it was lovely people, that would put me off. I wouldn't want to book it. You want to at least be able to come and go as you wish. You don't want their front door key.
This is what I'm thinking, is if you like went out, Mbulelo, and picked up a hot...
Well, can I tell you a story quickly?
Yeah.
So when I was still back in the days when I was still DJing, I think this was somewhere in KZN. I went to this club and I was DJing there that night, and I met this girl there and we kind of hit it off, and she said to me she'd come back to my place, and I'm like, yes, good. But I'm at an Airbnb. She's like, oh. Anyway, she comes back, and the next morning, because it's now Air Bed and Breakfast, that's what the B&B stands for. The next morning, she's like, I'm going to join you for breakfast. I said, I can't.
Oh, no.
We can't do that. It's the family that own the...
Oh, my God.
I can't have you in your clear heels breakfast.
And your sparkly dress from last night.
Dude, yeah. Walk of shame was not a thing to her. She was not worried about that. No, she was not. She thought this was something worth celebrating. She was going to have breakfast with me, and the owner of the house is this very lovely, like sort of middle-class Durban family who would have been horrified that I was sitting at the table with a girl who was still in the clothes and definitely smelt like the smoky club of the night before. It was very difficult. I had to negotiate very hard with her to get an Uber.
Oh my God, really?
And sneak out. She was like, no, I'm in for breakfast. I'm like, no, you are not. You're not staying for breakfast.
No. No. I'm horrified. How dare she? Yeah, but I mean, you see, what happens when those types of situations happen? And I'm cooped up in here. What am I, a child?
Well, I mean, listen, not that you're always going to get lucky, but if you do, you would like things to go. No, it's not even getting lucky. Like, it's just having your own space. And I'm sorry. I live on my own like you do, Mbulelo. We're not used to sharing. We're not good at this stuff.
Not only am I not used to sharing, I don't want to share.
Oh my God!
I actively do not want to share.
Look at that Tracy message. Oh,
which one?
My word!
I once stayed at a Bosnian's Airbnb in Hobart, Tasmania. Good grief! We also ended up having breakfast with their family. In our bedside table, there were condoms and utility bills.
Not they were. That they were. There.
Oh God. It was their condoms and their utility bills. We stayed in their room. Oh
what?
My God. Okay, sorry. I'm so glad you read that properly. So no.
Sweet Jesus.
You see, you're not allowed to do that. Like, Airbnb shouldn't have that as a... You're not allowed to use your own room. And then what did they sleep in the children's room?
Oh my God.
No, man. No.
That's so hectic.
You just hope they change the bed sheets.
That's all you can hope for. Thoughts and prayers.
Listen, at least with a hotel, I mean, like, I'm sure the hotels, and I've stayed in some terrible hotels, but I've mostly been happy that the bed was like fresh linen and stuff. But if it's someone else's bed, imagine that. They haven't changed the linen. This is where the Bosnian and his wife slept every night.
Yeah.
No, man.
Oh
see, that's gosh. Like, you can't do that. You know, that's not a commercial enterprise. That's you taking huge advantage of customers.
And you know what's happened now is what these people have done is now I'm the nightmare Airbnb person for somebody with an Airbnb. I'm definitely calling ahead. Yeah. Excuse me, can you send me a photo of where my entrance is? Where's your entrance? Where do you do your stuff?
And overnight you become a Karen. See, this is what happens.
No. Completely. I'm going full on as well.
No. It's not overnight. He's always been. It's just now people are going to experience it more often.
They've unleashed it. You know when you go meet your mother-in-law for the first 2 years of marriage. I was being that guy. You know, you're on your best behavior. You kind of. But now they've shown me that they don't respect me. Oh, they've just unleashed me now.
Guys, you know, I heard a horror story, a real horror story. Someone told me once that they went to an Airbnb and they booked the place online and it looked very nice and all the rest. When they got there were cameras, like security cameras inside the rooms.
No, man.
They were staying in. And they weren't sure whether these things were, I don't know. They had to take like a Band-Aid, like a plaster, and put it over the camera just in case, because they said like there was nothing that they were, you know, they weren't walking around naked or anything, but the fact that these people might be watching was freaky. You can't do that.
Wow.
I know that there is a very freaky documentary of that nature, of somebody who had, like, in a hotel though, camera holes, you know. This is a horror movie. That is, you were in a horror movie, guy.
Do hotels have cameras? Because we've seen so many things
not
from
in the
hotel
rooms.
Not in the rooms. You're not allowed to. I mean, in most countries,
in the passage, not in the room.
You can see people going in and out of their rooms, which might also be, you know, something that people have to think about. That's how they catch a lot of criminals. Why do these things always?
There's no footage of.
Why do these things always happen to you, Mbulelo? It's like your life just forces you to be a Karen.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm a victim.
Anthony says, Mbulelo, seriously, why are you still living in South Africa? You should seriously go and live in Scandinavia, China.
Yeah, I know. I've tried the Scandinavia thing.
You've just unleashed the cracker in Mbulelo. That's great. The cracker in. I love it. I did I've said I would do the valediction for King David in Linksfield yesterday, and I haven't.
Oh wow!
I haven't been to that school before. It was really nice to see them having. They had all the matrics there. None of the parents could, because of social distancing and all that stuff, and the halls, you know, can only accommodate this many people or whatever. But it was so great to see, and you know, I suddenly remembered like what it felt like at high school when it was that last formal event of matric. Luckily for them, they've been given the okay on having a matric dance, which they thought they would miss out, because last year's matrics obviously didn't have a matric dance. So there's that, which is fun. Things seem to be coming back to normal. But the cool thing is, and I'm always just I'm fascinated by these kids who get all the awards. You know, the kids who get like 10 trophies. We had a girl like that at my school, but there was a guy yesterday who got 100% for maths in his prelims. There were a couple, like there were a handful, maybe about 4 or 5 of their matrics who just cleaned up awards. You know, the language one, the sciences one, the public speaking one. It's just like a broad range of subjects, and I'm always so impressed with that. I seriously, my hat goes off every time to people who can pull off a range of disciplines. Like, you just see those kids are hardworking, built for success. It's just incredible. And don't tell me, oh, bullshit, school doesn't give you an idea of what people will be like after school. No. You know, the Dux scholar at my school, the girl who got all these awards, she became a doctor.
Wow.
She's had, I think she's had 2 kids. She married a very nice man. She lives in the Western Cape somewhere, and she's got a successful practice. And she's just like anyone had told me, oh, she's going to fail and flunk out and she's going to be a disaster because she worked too hard at school. Nonsense. Nonsense. I was such an underachiever at school. I was so average.
What do you say that? One of the trustees on one of the NPCs that we work with, she's a lawyer, and she had 10 distinctions in varsity. So her law degree.
What?
Yeah. Her law degree. 10 bloody distinctions in her first degree and 3 in her second. I was just like, listen.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Doing too much. This is why
I don't like the way that we've removed distinction in so many places in society. We've taken merit out of the equation. I know this is your thing, Bulelo. But I know that we've had to try to make, for some kids who maybe aren't as talented academically, for maybe the kids who don't do as well at sport, we have to have some way to make them feel that they are good enough, because they're still going to have to go and be part of society and make a living and, have a meaningful life. And I get that. And I don't want anyone to be excluded. But this whole participation trophy movement, which started under Oprah Winfrey and, even before that with like child psychologists who wanted to make everybody feel like they were.
Is it Oprah Winfrey?
I think she had a lot to do with it. You get a prize. You get a prize. Everybody gets a prize.
Are you just hating on Oprah because Sia's not here to defend her?
Maybe that's exactly what's going on. But you know what I mean? Like I do think that there is something so inspiring. Now I was never jealous of the kid who got the awards and the girl at my school who cleaned up with all the awards and was such an academic genius, because she really did. She got 90s for everything. And I wasn't jealous of her. I was actually in awe. Maybe because I've never had an issue with confidence. I don't know what that is. That might have been the way that I was raised. I hope I can give my parents credit. I was never jealous of her, so I was never threatened by her. So when she was getting all these awards, I was kind of proud for her,
I was very jealous, and I call them nerds.
Aibo.
Yeah, no, I have to be honest.
Why were you jealous?
No,
why were you jealous? Why didn't you just work harder?
No, because people say that, but I mean, people hate good-looking people. Well, actually, you hate yourself for not being as good-looking as they are. That's all it is. I was insecure. I was 15, 16.
Sure. I mean, I talk about this often on the show, how I look in the mirror and I think I could do better, right? And I'm pissed off and sad that I'm not as good.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But there's nothing I can do. What I will not do is I will not hate good-looking people. In fact, I think good-looking people are an essential ingredient to a happy life. You have to have them in your life. Good-looking people make me happier. And I may be jealous of them. I'm not angry with them, though. I don't begrudge them their good looks.
No, ultimately, hold on. Let me finish. Because I was a shithead. It's this. The thing is, I was like, no, I knew deep down inside that's actually what I should be trying to do. But because I was too lazy and too much of a shithead, I was angry at them for things I couldn't do. So it expressed itself as resentment for them when actually I was a shithead.
Yeah, but you got to the point now where you can be at least as much self-actualized as someone who can admit that, right? That's a good thing.
Now I love them. In hindsight, they were awesome. That's what I should have been trying to be.
So this is where I think just watching the awards last night, it gave me, again, huge inspiration, because I think we've got some brilliant people in South Africa. And no doubt that school is churning out far more than the average school. I mean, they punch well above their weight in terms of every year's matric results. And, the number of kids who got an academic award for having an average over 85 was enormous. Enormous. There were a lot of kids who got that kind of score. And I know that there are some schools that just don't have the resources or the teachers or necessarily the support from the parents that they require. But I will say this, is that achievement, whether you're in a good school or a bad school, look, I wasn't in a great school. My school was dead average. In fact, in some ways, it was probably below average. I'm not like walking around telling everybody, I went to Sutherland High School, like it's something I'm proud of. I couldn't care less. It may as well have been any other school. The fact is even within that environment, you have to have gradations. You have to have something to aspire to. If you're in the middle, you have to have something to try and beat yourself at if you're at the top. And at the bottom, you have to have people who are still setting the standard and are making it work, because otherwise you think your education's worthless. If everybody's on the same level, it just doesn't work. I don't know where this stuff came in. I'm blaming Oprah, which is unfair, but it bothers me that there's still places
But I
where
actually
we don't
think
have a
that
standard.
I think that there's actually more competitiveness now amongst youngsters, amongst young people. There's far more competitiveness. So there's definitely a will to want to outdo each other in everything. That's why you see like crazy things like the milk crate challenge and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're all trying to outdo each other. So one of the things that I've seen over the past couple of years, and the amount of pressure that the kids also put on themselves just to be that kid, with the like 10 distinctions, and where I think we were a little bit like less worried about that stuff.
Maybe.
You know, dude, that stuff, that things the kids go through now. And
Well,
the parents,
Sean says, don't you think the standard has dropped? When we were in matric, no one got close to 100%. Well, people are getting cleverer.
That's not true.
But it's an absolute
Also,
fact.
that's not
people
true.
got we had people like that. I had people like that in my school.
Yeah.
We had people like that.
Yeah, that's not true at all, by the way. Sorry, Sean.
But also the kind of
Sean and I were at stupid schools. You two went. Oh my God! I know. I'm going to get an email from someone who was at my school now. Saying, oh, how can you say that about your school? I'm not attached to that. The idea that I went to a smart, fancy school. I didn't. Very average, very ordinary.
No. Sorry to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Like all the kids with the extra lessons now, because everything is so much harder. It's harder to get in because there's so much more competition. So there are fewer spaces in the universities there. So everybody is trying to be that top 1%. I don't know. I think all the extra lessons, all the tutors and support and
I don't know if you saw this. This is a great joke that was going around on social media. You know why Nando's chicken tastes better, right? Because it was raised by two parents.
I thought that was the Woolworths chicken.
Might even be. Okay, so a couple of headlines for this morning. We've got things to talk about. I know you want to talk about Dolly Parton, Pumi. We'll come to that in a second.
Yes!
But apparently Squid Games has knocked Bridgerton off the Netflix top spot. So I haven't watched Squid Game, but it is a Korean drama. It's watched by 111 million users in its first 28 days. And it knocked Bridgerton off the top spot. So I interviewed Ben Miller from Bridgerton yesterday, and you'll see that interview, I think, on Friday. Ben Miller, famous British actor. He's been in Bridgerton, Professor T, what is it called? Something in Paradise. It's this kind of true crime thing, and he's a terrific actor, just such a nice guy. And I spoke to him yesterday. He really was so much fun to talk to. About 40 minutes we had a chat, and
wow,
that'll be available tomorrow. But that's just mentioning him because Bridgerton came up. So apparently Netflix's vice president for content in Korea, Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand says the show's success is beyond our wildest dreams. They told CNN, when we first started investing in Korean series and films in 2015, we knew we wanted to make world-class stories for the core K-content fans across Asia and the world. Today, Squid Game has broken through our wildest dreams. Well,
yeah.
What do you know about this?
Apart from the fact that the creator tried to sell that script for 10 years before Netflix picked it up.
Isn't that great? Shows you keep on keeping on, right?
Yeah, Netflix in Korea will always do a little bit better because it's got a bit more soul than everywhere else.
That is the worst. I thought we'd hit the worst. That's the worst.
I haven't seen anything about it, but I have to watch it because Kaneho keeps telling me, Mom, can I watch Squid Game? So he's not allowed to watch stuff that's
Unless you've
got
seen it.
age restrictions that I haven't seen. So I was like,
Well, it
but
seems everyone.
everywhere.
So do you have
everyone's talking
passwords,
about
or does he just know that he's not allowed to watch? That's an interesting little dynamic there.
He knows he's not supposed to watch. I don't
Okay,
have
so no
passwords.
passwords though. Oh,
No.
okay, interesting. Oh,
No.
that's very
He
interesting.
must be honest, and it's about him, right? It's not about me. It's about him. So he must be
That's the
honest.
German in you coming out.
That's such
You must know.
rubbish. That's
Talk about-
rubbish.
All right, so how about this? Sophisticated multinational criminal gangs with tentacles that span all the way across Africa, Asia, and Europe are behind the upsurge in kidnapping cases, which crime
Where?
experts, these sources, this is happening in KwaZulu-Natal. Listen to this. This week, KwaZulu-Natal police, so police from that province went to Bloemfontein and arrested 2 men believed to be behind the kidnapping and extortion of a 60-year-old Durban businessman. The
60-year-old.
The gang who had held him hostage for 7 days demanded a ransom of 10 million rand for his release. Police spokesperson Colonel Themba Gambele said that a multidisciplinary operation has led to the arrest of 2 48-year-old kidnappers on Monday. It is alleged that on the 8th of July 2021, a 60-year-old male victim was leaving his business premises in Umgeni Road in Durban when he was accosted by 4 armed unknown males and forced into their vehicle. This is a very scary story. So police seized.
Who gets kidnapped? Like you know, my mom used to tell me about stories on the continent, and generally, it was always if you're into something a little saucy in terms of business. You know, you're not doing the QuickBooks for a sewing company. Who are these people that get kidnapped? Like, what are you doing?
Like, they must know something about you if they're also asking for 10 million. They're not kidnapping me for 10 million. Trust me.
Yeah. They know that if they kidnap any of the 3 of us, they're not going to get 10 million. That's for sure. No. So apparently last month, they arrested 2 men who are believed to be a kidnap for ransom gang targeting foreign nationals. The 2 men that were arrested had kidnapped a 24-year-old Indian national from a parking lot in the Durban CBD and held him hostage before ransoming or demanding a ransom from his family. The gang was highlighted for the first time when Durban businesswoman Sandra Moonsamy was kidnapped from the side of the road in Pinetown in May of 2019. She was held for more than 6 months before the police tracked her down to a house in Imalahleni in Mpumalanga.
Wow. So wait, all these names sound Indian as well. Is there something going on there?
Yeah, there's another one. Here's a high-profile case. Mohammed Nur Karim, who's the owner of Giant Sweets and Sweets for Africa. He remains missing. When he was kidnapped back in 2019, they still haven't found him. There are claims that the ransom had been paid to the kidnappers after a demand of 20 million rand was made. Neither the police nor the family have confirmed this.
Good God.
The heads of these syndicates sometimes sit in India or Pakistan, but even in Europe. The reason they often target foreigners is that they know many of these businessmen prefer to deal with cash and they don't like banking all their money. So that's interesting.
Dude, see, Michael, who's this good cop, one of my colleagues was arrested for kidnapping. I was about to tell you all a story.
Yes. Yeah, the police.
Tell you all a story about a neighbor of mine.
Tell me.
Back in the day.
Tell us.
Yeah. So he was arrested with a group of people. I think there were like 4 or 5 of them for kidnapping a child for ransom in the south of Joburg. And I couldn't for the life of me. And he is somebody I know very, very well, somebody I grew up with. And I was just like, dude, what happened here? And his story, which he's stuck to this day, and he did the time and everything, is guy so-and-so, somebody else we know, asked me for a ride. He was just like, he has to go pick up a kid down in wherever, like in like Naturena or something, one of those southern suburbs. He was like, give me a ride. I just need to go pick up this kid. He went with him, drove him. They picked up the kid, and he drove them, dropped them off. He didn't know it was a kidnapping. He didn't
Oh,
know.
wow. Oh my God.
Holy smokes. That is so bad if true.
Which happens, right? Which happens in the hood. Like back then, where if somebody has a car, you like, dude, I need a ride. Can you like hook me up? I'll give you some cash to like drive me there and back. Like before there was Uber and stuff.
Wow,
That was his
hectic.
story to this
That is
day.
hectic,
This is the
if
story
true.
that he has maintained
Unbelievable.
to this day.
My
Turns
God.
out kidnapping.
Racy Beck says, I know a rich guy from my town who was kidnapped. When he was freed, he moved to Australia. Well, that would make you want to go. I mean, I kind of get that. Audrey says, Beth, the ending raised more questions for me, but there has to be a follow-up because Beth was saying just a little bit earlier. Let me just see where this is. Pumi, I think you won't allow him to watch it. It's quite gory. That's to do with Squid Game.
Squid Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't
Carl
know.
says,
Everything I've read about it.
do not let your kid watch Squid Game. Some adults shouldn't even be watching it. Carl says.
Everything I've read about it makes me feel like this ain't gonna be. It's not a good idea. He's too small.
Oh my God. My
partner kidnapped.
Tina Turner's Carve says, my partner was once kidnapped in Nigeria when he was there working for an oil company. Scary times. Yeah, that happens in Nigeria a lot, but now it seems like it's happening here as well. That's very worrying.
Yeah, no, it happens every day in Nigeria.
Tina Turner's Calves. That story can't just end there, yo. That story can't just end there.
Notice that this is one of the perils of being rich. No. Like we always talk about, oh, wouldn't it be great to win the lottery? Oh, wouldn't it be great to be a millionaire? Oh, wouldn't it be great to have a business that was worth millions and millions? Well, there's a downside. Yeah. People, you got a target on your back.
Who's the famous Instagram? There's some Instagram chick who married a high-profile guy, and she was posting too much. Simpiwe told me about it. I don't know what the lady's name is. Anyway, so she was posting too much, and he said to her, "No, stop posting on social media that we married and we're living that Dubai life, right?" And I imagine maybe this was part of the reason. Is he doesn't need this kind of stuff out there. He's successful, but he's behind the scenes. It's like. You don't see Adrian Gore posting he's probably got a yacht or whatever. Hey, you don't see him posting that. Like nobody in Dubai knows who he is. He just pitches up there or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Yo, it's hectic.
Still, but still one of my all-time favorite Denzel Washington movies, Man on Fire, freaks me out. I think I've watched it like 4 times. Every time I watch it, it freaks me out that is a true story.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to move on with another headline, and this is someone who's going to be joining us a little bit later. The Congress of the People, COPE, yes, believe it or not, they're still a thing, COPE. Their mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Colleen Makhubele, who's going to be on the Burning Platform later on, so I'm glad we can see someone from COPE on the show this morning. She said government could not expect citizens to bear the burden of resolving the service debt issue in places like Soweto. She insists government has failed to create jobs, provide adequate services, and maintain infrastructure. She held a media briefing on Wednesday where she shared her vision for the metro ahead of the upcoming local government elections. And Makhubele said her party believed government must provide a cross-subsidization model to ensure the delivery of basic services to residents. What do you think of that, Pums? I mean, your parents still live in Soweto.
Dude, it has become an electioneering tool. We can do something. I think after the Cyril Ramaphosa getting booed out of certain parts, I think after that incident, people think it's going to be like, it's going to win them the Soweto vote if they say, we're going to do something about the debt. It's just an electioneering tool. There's nothing they can do about it. The reality is that there is debt because people aren't working.
Yeah. No
people
other way
aren't
to put
working. They're not, you could scrap all that debt tomorrow. You could scrap the debt for every municipality all over the country. It's not going to do. A year from now, we're going to be back here. We sat here and listened to Leato last week tell us about like an 80% unemployment rate in Welkom. You could scrap all the debt in Welkom. A year from now, you're going to be back at the same place. That's not the problem. The problem is,
and also we've tried as citizens. Yeah, and even then, so we've tried as citizens to pay the debt for everyone, not just Soweto. It's called the taxes, which you stole. Just give you a little highlights package for the 500 billion you stole in the PPE stuff. Is we've tried to subsidize the country. So don't. In fact, it's not actually the residents in Soweto. We can get to that. Is we've tried as citizens to subsidize. You stole the money that you should have been paying that back with. So we must stop talking about it like we don't know what happened.
Correct.
We've tried.
Now listen. Next week we start recording season 6 of Blind History. I still can't believe we're up to season 6. It's an award-winning series. I love doing it. My co-host is with us this morning. His name is Anthony Miedera. Hey, Ant, how are you?
Morning. I hope you can hear me. Going strong.
Loud and clear.
Morning, Pumi. Morning, Belela. Gareth, how are you?
Good. I brought you on this morning not to talk about Blind History because I know you're doing your research for next week when we record our first episode.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. I can't believe we've got to 6 seasons of this, and people have been on my case about when is the next one coming. So that I had to get that out of the way right up front. But I'm actually bringing you on this morning to talk about something else, which is something you're very passionate about, and it's something that you've been working on behind the scenes for a little while now, and many people may already know about it because we've been producing it with you. But it's called Blind Conservation. Obviously, the play on Blind, which is you're the company for which you're the MD, Taylor Blinds and Shutters. But conservation is a big thing to you, and you can tell us in a moment how you got involved in it and what your interest there is. But I just want to remind people, if you don't already know this, there's a 4-part documentary series about conservation, which we've launched on cliffcentral.com. It's called Blind Conservation, and they've focused the episodes on apex predators. The first 2 episodes look at sharks, and we talked to Anthony about that. And I think we've spoken about sharks even on this show before. But if you haven't listened to those, you need to listen to them immediately. And then there is a 2-part lion story in the series. Now, you told me just a little bit about these lions when I saw you last time at our offices, and these amazing stories about these 2 prides of lions and all the different families of lions that we have in South Africa. And people have been studying them for years. But how did you get involved in, and how did you get interested in conservation? Is it a lifelong passion?
Well, as I mentioned before, it was from our side. I've always been interested in it. And I think I joined the Sharks Board, which is on the reverse side. You're having shark nets to protect humans, which is crazy. So, but I joined that for the passion of sharks, and I've always loved all types of all different types of wildlife. If we have to consider Africa, and I'm very passionate about Africa and the people and the animals, and if we in South America, you might see a jaguar, but it's very rare, and you've got to be very rich to get to those places. So it's not something you can do every day. And the same in America with the mountain lions. When you're ever going to see an interaction with a mountain lion, a cougar, 100%. So a cougar, yeah. Or maybe you see it in LA. Yeah, in Santa.
You see them at I don't know anymore.
Tasha's morning side.
Yeah, or the shark leaning against the lamppost in Santa. But we can go to our national parks. Any one of us can go into the national parks, and you can see it's. I suppose it's a bit of luck, but you time it right, and you're lucky. You can see a leopard killing an impala or a lion killing a wildebeest, and you can actually see the interaction, and it's something that's really special, and I'm very proud of it, and we must be proud of it. We must protect that heritage, but also the people around it. There's a lot of people that are supporting our wildlife, and it provides massive employment. So it makes so much sense to try and support it. And apex predators, lions are just incredible. I mentioned to you, in the last time I chatted about this, the humanizing. A lion is a lion, so it's very difficult to actually humanize it. But and they always say, a lion doesn't say he needs to tell you he's a lion. But if we look at it, and we humanize it a little bit. So there's the Mapochos. So the Mapocho is a security company in, I think in the Gauteng region, or mainly in the Gauteng region. I'm not sure if they're going anymore.
I remember.
Yeah, scary guys. You know, when you're the crooks, these guys are after you. You're really shitting yourself. So they named this pride of lions around 2003, 2004. They named this pride of lions the Mapochos, and there were 6. So the male lions they usually get together as brothers or cousins, and they build a coalition, 2 or more male lions. And then they have a territory, and they have their females, and they mate with the females, and they look after their cubs. And any cub that's not part of them, they kill. So, and it's extremely territorial, and it's very, very hard to be a lion. And so the male lions work very hard. They just see them lying under a tree sleeping for 12 hours, but at night they can walk up to 16 kilometers. So these Mapochos, there were 6 of them, and they were extremely big lions, and it's the most incredible sighting you can see these 6 big lions. But interacting with them in the way that they totally ruled a certain section of Kruger Park, being the Sabi Sands area, which is on the west, they killed over 100 lions themselves in protecting their territories. And and they had names. Like my computer passwords. Some of their names. It's the one was Kinky Tail, aka Shaka. Then you had Mr. T, aka Satan. You had Pretty Boy, you had Rasta, and then you had Makula Mapocho. So and there were 6. One was a cousin and 5 brothers, and they absolutely ruled with an iron fist. Any male that tried to sniff around in the area, they killed him, and they ate him. So it's on YouTube. You can go on YouTube it's called Blood Brothers, and I must be honest, it's quite hard to watch that, but I explained a little bit about it in the podcast, and where there was another massive lion coalition building big young males in the eastern part of Sabi Sands, and now the Mapochos didn't like it. So they ran off to go and attack them, and nonetheless, that's where Blood Brothers comes from. And it's an incredible story of male lions and how they protect their females, protect their cubs, but then if it's any other lions, they'll kill. But those type of things are, and a lot of business people sorry, was that under my desk?
Yeah. Get the kitty litter going there. Yeah,
exactly.
So on a podcast, tell that thing on a podcast.
Yeah. But if you like cats, same thing.
I'm blown away by the story. I don't want you to spoil the story for anybody, because you go into some of this in Blind Conservation, but it's also in Blood Brothers, which is a great documentary. The Mapochos eventually went to war with this other pride of lions, and it's sad, obviously, because nature is way harder than humans can handle, and it's also tremendously inspiring because it shows you just the majesty of these creatures and the way that survival of the fittest is still the only rule that matters out there in the wild. It's an incredible story. You told me the story in the office. I still haven't forgotten it. How did you guys approach Blind Conservation with 2 episodes about lions?
So what we try to do is look at different areas. So we have to look at both sides. You've got to manage life, the wildlife. So if you look at elephants as an example, they're just exploding because their natural habitat's shrinking. And so what do you do? Because then it destroys the greater Kruger area is getting destroyed. So how do you manage that? So you have to understand that you've got to manage the wildlife, and you've got to manage the human side. So if we look at the leopards in the Western Cape, if a leopard gets into a sheep pen, it's that red blood veil goes over its eyes, and it can kill 40 sheep. Not that it can eat the 40 sheep, but it'll kill all 40. So now the farmer, how much is that worth to the farmer? So he's absolutely cross. He shoots the leopard. So so you have to manage that side of it with maybe Anatolian sheepdog. So what we try to do in blind history, we try to paint blind conservation. Apologies, we try to paint a picture on both sides. So we spoke to some really incredible people that are passionate about lions. We spoke on the other side to hunters that understand the conflict, and we try to just paint a very objective picture of both sides of the story.
Amazing. And I'm really happy that this is one of your passion projects but you're actually involved in like shark conservation. You're very personally and you're a stakeholder in that world. Explain how you got involved in that.
Actually, from the first blind conservation we did with sharks, we interviewed specialist shark marine biologists, and there's a product that's been developed which looks like kelp, and sharks don't really like to swim in kelp. So, it's not really great for them. If they have to go in, they will. So that's already a deterrent, and then we're putting magnets in there. Well, they've got very, very sensitive feelings in their noses, the ampulla of Lorenzini in their noses, so they feel that energy, and they don't like it. And it's such a better natural way of protecting. You don't kill the dolphins, you don't kill the turtles, you don't kill the smaller sharks, any of that with this technology. And that it's so much better than a net barrier, because it's just a net. A shark net is basically fishing, and you will eliminate the big predators. Same with a bait hook. You put a bit of whale meat on a bait hook, you're going to catch a big shark. So it's at least this thing is where humans can use the sea without the fear of interacting, although it's a very small chance. Without the fear of being bitten by a shark. So that's the technology we're involved in.
How are our shark populations looking in South Africa? Because that's not something I know a huge amount about.
Yeah, look, it's like globally, it's a sad story. I mean, at the great whites, we don't see great whites in False Bay anymore. Like I said, you can swim around Seal Island with a piece of whale meat on your back, and you won't be touched. 5 years ago, there would be nothing left of you. So there's a lot that's going on. There's overfishing of the smaller sharks, but there has been the great news. There's also the great news is there's pressure being put on government, and there's some changes that have been made. So especially on the long line fishing, on the bottom fishing of sharks. So and I'm just hoping those type of things you can just try and solve. A shark-free chips campaign, because our friends in Australia eat our sharks. I mean, can't they eat their own sharks? So what happens? They're so strict there and organized that they don't allow that to happen. But what we do is we just ship all the shark meat to them, and they eat flake and chips. They call it flake. So there's a campaign that's been run in Australia as well to try and understand, where you're getting the sharks from. And it's important because they're very strict in terms of protecting that, but we're not. So there's a lot involved, and it's a global problem.
I love, and Togozo is actually referring to this now, what technologies are being used to manage blind conservation projects. Have you heard of connected conservation? I mean, you mentioned those new nets, which you're very involved in now. But are there other things that we can do? Are there ways that ordinary people can get involved?
So I think just there's a lot of different organizations involved around wildlife. And so we just need to understand it, first of all, because and make sure that we're dealing with reputable people. There's so many rhino, like with the rhinos, Rhino 911. There's so many cat conservation organizations we can join. Unfortunately, because there's so many different problems, there's quite a lot of different organizations. But but I think the big thing is to communicate, and first of all to try and understand it, to educate, and then and the big thing for us in education is like the Anatolian sheepdog. Leopards hate them, so they won't go anywhere near it. There's no conflict because they know that the sheepdog is there, and then they don't go and kill 40 sheep. Right. it's educating the people that are really involved in the conflict, and then also creating employment. But it's a long story. So this is what, just on this blind conservation, we try and communicate it a little bit more. I try and, add some stories, because it's always a lot. I think it's more fun and a little bit of humanizing it. So, the Mapogos they didn't have an ego. Like, when I paint the picture of these 6 big males, dominating, the lions don't have an ego. Great whites don't have an ego. It's all about energy saving. The minute they see that they're going to lose the battle in terms of getting a seal or in terms of getting a wildebeest, they back off and they accept that they're not going to get it. But it's quite nice to talk about that, because humans are very much ego driven, and this person dominates that person, and that's right. So that's why it's nice to tell the stories in a little bit of a different way.
I'm very excited to introduce people to blind conservation if they haven't heard any of it yet, but it's a 4-part documentary series about conservation in South Africa. The first 2 episodes are about sharks, the second 2 about lions. You don't want to miss those. You can find them all on cliffcentral.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And the host, Anthony Miedra. Very, very good to have you on, Ant.
Good. Thanks very much. Great to be on there.
Good to see you. Very, very good. Nice. That's something to look forward to, and it's available right now. So get it on cliffcentral.com. Heading up towards 7 o'clock. Coming up in the burning platform. Hello. Is that you, Mbolelo? Is that the people you live with?
That's not me. I'm inside someone's house, obviously, because I'm a small child. But no, it's not me.
Yes. It's not me. Okay. Well, coming up, the burning platform with Phumi Mashiko and we will be joined this morning by Dr. Makhubele, who we love to talk to. And we've also got the mayoral candidate for COPE in Johannesburg, Colleen Makhubele. Of course, Makhubele is standing for mayor of eThekwini in the Action SA party. I can't wait to see her and to catch up with her. We'll speak to her just in a little while.
Tell her about the kidnappings.
We'll see if we can find out about that too. Colleen Makhubele and Makhubele joining us in the burning platform, which is coming up next. This is cliffcentral.com. Good Thursday morning.
Choosing quick solutions is key to a great economic quarter. Use the Nando's app to order a quarter chicken with any single side for only 49 Rand in just 20 seconds. Nando's. Fire it up. T's and C's apply.
CliffCentral.com on a Thursday morning means the burning platform. It's our chance to catch up on all the important events that are going on in the nation. And of course, this is an election month. It's an election year. We're looking at the municipal and local elections, which is a big deal because that's where service delivery happens. Pumi and I have been speaking to a number of people over the last few weeks, and we've tried to give you a broad range of parties. I will tell you again, we have been trying in any and every way we can to get the EFF and the ANC to come and join us. On both fronts, we have just hit a brick wall, particularly with the ANC. The EFF haven't exactly told us they don't want to, but they haven't been making it easy for us. The ANC have just shown no interest. I've tried with mayoral candidates in Johannesburg, with people in eThekwini, with people in the Western Cape, with people all over other parts of the country too, and I'm not having a whole lot of luck with the ANC, but I want you to know I'm going to keep trying, because as the majority party in the country, I think it's outrageous that they don't come on and explain themselves ahead of an election where actually there's quite a lot in the balance. Yeah, just shake your head, Pums, but I don't know what it is. I think they feel like they don't need to explain themselves, or all they're going to do, as I saw a member of the ANC who was standing for mayor of PE on TV last night, I saw her saying, sorry, we apologize. They don't have anything else to say. So maybe that's part of the problem. So
it's hectic out there, people.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to campaign, even if you've got very little to campaign on. Otherwise, how do people even know what they're voting for?
Do you though?
This morning I'm pleased because we've got two people on. We've had Herman Mashaba on before, but I always love to see Makosi Khoza. She's actually going to be the mayoral candidate for Action SA in eThekwini, a municipality that has been rocked by some pretty awful mayors in the last while. And we'll find out from Dr. Makosi Khoza what she has to say. Hello, Dr. Makosi Khoza. How are you?
Hey, hi, Cliff. Hi, Gareth. And thank you very much
for me. It's very nice to have you on, and it's good to see you. You seem to be at work and hard at action in eThekwini and in KZN generally, campaigning for Action SA. Are you well?
Yes, I am well. And I'm up to the challenge.
I'm happy to hear it. We need some people doing the heavy lifting in KZN. It's not as if it's been good for the people of Durban recently. It's been very, very difficult for them in the last few years.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Khoza, while we wait for our other guest this morning, Colleen Makhubele, who is the COPE representative for Johannesburg, and she's running for mayor of Johannesburg. Tell us about what your plans are for eThekwini and why you decided to run in that municipality, and what you think needs to be done, what the priorities are.
First of all, we have to all understand that local government is about basic services. It is the sum total of life. And basically, if we are not going to address the challenges of water, in eThekwini, we have a situation where we lose 54% of water. And that 54%, somebody has to pay for it. And it does affect the billing issues. But over and above that, we have quite a number of communities that don't have water at all. And some of the water a lot of water is lost through best water pipes and poor maintenance of the infrastructure that we have in Durban. There has been no effective infrastructure plan for water. But the second thing that we also have a big challenge with is obviously all cities have the same problem of energy. Energy is a big problem to all of us. And as eThekwini, we wanted to ensure that we grow the businesses that are there. We create a conducive environment for growth. But you are not going to be able to do that if you have unreliable energy sources. Like Eskom has completely collapsed, as you know. And we've been, yesterday alone, I experienced 3 load sheddings in one day for 2 hours each. So 6 hours in total that I experienced in Durban yesterday during the campaign. So I'm just saying to you, unless we fix those things, as Action SA, we are very clear. We are going ahead with exploring alternative energy sources, and we have a maintenance plan. And the other thing that is very important that many people don't realize about corruption is that, you know, most of the services, even basic everyday services, such as having a plumber on site who is going to run and actually fix that pipe that is bursting, you know, we go on tender. During that process, you go on tender, what happens? The water keeps on running. So that is why we are saying we are going to insource the core services. Waste management is an everyday issue. eThekwini is filthy. It's crazy because it's the largest domestic tourism capital in South Africa. I mean, we come... Cape Town is for your international tourists primarily, but eThekwini is your hub of domestic tourism. Now with debt, crime, you know, unsafe areas and so forth, dilapidated, abandoned buildings, we've got to sort that out. And we are saying as Action SA, we wanted to utilize these abandoned, dilapidated buildings to offer a new kind of social housing that is going to be for rental, because a lot of people that are coming to eThekwini are people that are coming from rural areas, and they don't necessarily want to own that 4-roomed house, you know, RDP house, you know, and again, we have a shortage, a serious shortage of land. And if you are not going to deal with that, there is no way you are going to address the housing backlog that we have if you don't go up. We have to start experimenting with high-rise buildings.
Pumi and I always say that the local and municipal elections are not that's not the sexy side of politics, as you put at the beginning of your discussion here this morning. You said this is about service delivery, so it's not, you know, the promises and the stuff that we usually see. You actually have to deliver in this case. And obviously Action SA, we don't really know whether you guys can or not because you haven't been tested in KZN yet. So many people may be reticent. How do you address those people?
Well, you have to understand that you are talking to one of the top local government specialists in the country. My PhD is on total quality management systems, specializing on developmental local government in South Africa. And for your own information, I'm the former CEO of the KwaZulu-Natal Local Government Association. And people of KwaZulu-Natal will tell you about some of the innovative programs that I introduced, like the Kwanaloka Games, you know, because we're trying to, you know, we're trying to reduce the social distance between mayors and the youth, because currently the mayors are very much up there and the youth is right down there, because we wanted them to be part of local government and understand, you know, that it is very important for them to be active instead of experimenting with social ills, you know, drugs and so forth. Right. So I'm saying to you, I've been there. I was also the deputy mayor of Maritzburg when I was 26 years old. And I bring that wealth of experience, and I've studied local government in Brisbane as my case study, you know, and that's a top quality system city. And I've studied Memphis. And I've been to quite a number of cities around the world, even in Tokyo, you know, and they are very, very hard, or they are very, very good with total quality, the application of total quality management systems.
No, I appreciate that, because, you know, a lot. Go ahead, Pums. I do want to bring Colleen in just a minute. I see she's joined us, but Pumi, you've got a question for my question.
No, Dr. Khoza, you know, the thing that I'm extremely fascinated about is you speak about the experience that you've had in local government, particularly in the KZN area with your experience in Pietermaritzburg. And as a small party, which is what Action SA will be, a challenger party in KZN, How do you think you're going to make a difference in a system that has already been in play and which is where the rot has begun, is the system that you've come out of? How do you think you're going to make a difference in that system as a small party?
I think we should not be reducing some parties as small, because I really do believe that South Africans are really looking for an alternative. They've been stuck with the ANC for a very long time. And what we are getting on the ground, we are getting overwhelming support. I mean, I've been to Umlazi, I've been to most of the 528 informal settlements that we have in Durban. I've been to suburbs in Umhlanga, in Hillcrest, and everywhere. And what we are seeing, what we are observing, people want to change, and they want tried and tested leaders. As you know, in eThekwini, it's literally a mafia state. In the last few years, in Umlazi alone, over 20 councillors were gunned down. And you kind of need the people that are going there, understanding the dynamics of that municipality, and understanding that corruption is deadly in this part of the country, and make sure that you put those systems in place that are going to be protecting whistleblowers as well. So people are really confident in that they are going to be voting for us, but obviously we have to wait for that. But should we be expected to go into coalition with other governments, with other political parties, we would be willing to do so. However, we won't relinquish our responsibility of performing effective oversight over whoever that would have won the elections. Should we not win outright, we will make sure that we perform effective oversight, because what is lacking in South Africa is transparency and accountability. I mean, right now we are running for local government elections, but the posters that you see in Durban, apart from the poster of myself as somebody running for mayor, is the poster of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa is not running for eThekwini. Why is his poster there? Julius Malema is not running for local government for eThekwini municipality. Why is his poster there? Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi is there as well. So I'm just saying to you that there is no transparency and accountability, and it starts during the campaign process. Because actually what you are doing, you are saying to people, we will only give you your mayor once you have elected us. Why are you not transparent about it?
We don't know who the ANC's candidate is yet for eThekwini, do we?
We don't.
No.
I don't know whether maybe President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to come to Durban. I don't know, because that's the only person that I've seen telling us that we can build better tomorrow.
Right. Let me go to Colleen Makhubele, who is standing as COPE's Joburg mayoral candidate. Colleen, it's very nice to have you on the show for the first time. And it's good to have someone from COPE on. A lot of people, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, a lot of people want to know why, COPE is even still a thing, and whether or not you've got a chance of making a difference. I don't want to be rude to you. I want to give you a chance to explain your position and what you are planning to do in a city that's very hotly contested at the moment. So welcome.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Mpumi, and good morning to the listeners and the viewers, and good morning to Mawa, or actually SA as well.
Yeah, boy. Good.
So COPE is still a thing, Gareth. I like that.
Sorry, it's what that's what people are thinking, and I'm
I've heard worse. Why am I with COPE and all of this? Yes, Ma, you wanted to say something. But Gareth, let me tell you, COPE is still a party, not just a thing. It's a party that is in existence. It's a party that has a brand of credibility, of reliability. It's a brand that has suffered over the last few years from, what typical any organization that wants to turn itself around suffers from, infighting and people leaving the party because of different ambitions, different visions and interests. And the leadership of COPE was very, very clear to say we have to reinvent ourselves, because we hear what people are saying out there. I've been listening very closely to what Mankosa was saying, and I can concur with most of what she said. People are out there are hungry for an alternative. They want a party that will be reliable, incorruptible, that will be accountable, and not even a party. They are looking for the people, the who is in that party, who is the leader, who is at the helm of it. And COPE has gone back to say, look, we understand people are crying. We cannot take them for granted like the governing party is doing. Let us now re-innovate ourselves, purge ourselves of anyone who does not stand for a kind of servant leaders that COPE wants, kind of a vision that COPE wants to do when it governs. And I think one of the learning curves was when COPE went into a coalition government and they began to understand how the governing party works and the road and the issues that are in there and the type of people that are leading there, the councillors, etc. And hence COPE then is coming back to say, now we have patched ourselves. Now we are recruiting people that are professionals, that are competent, have some level of skill, that can sit in, because council is the board of a municipality. Imagine the board of the city of Joburg, and people cannot even read financials. You can't even have a fruitful meeting for 2 hours. It's a waste of money, waste of resources, and also it really undermines the citizens of the country. So COPE is recruited, and they have approached us to say, look, we understand these metros that we want to contest. These are the needs. We're looking for people that are fit for purpose. People have the right skills, the right qualifications, but that will not only be accountable to a party and the community, but they are accountable to professional bodies. And we are, for example, myself, like Ma was saying, I've got a PhD, I'm a CFA charter holder, I belong to the Institute of Directors SA. If I go and mess up, first and foremost, I'm destroying my career that I've been building for the past 20 years. So I have a lot to lose by standing for this position. It's not because I have nothing else to do, but it's because of the passion that I have to really turn around things in Joburg. I see where things are going wrong. I'm raising my hand to say, I want to make a difference. I don't want to just complain on the sidelines and, make jokes and be despondent and despair like everybody else. Let my children look back in 10 years' time and say, Mommy tried, and that's why I'm standing, and that's why I'm with COPE.
And what would you say your strategy, because coalition is the most likely thing. I mean, that's the way that the governing system is put together. When you think about proportional representation, very likely you're going to see a very diminished ANC, but you're definitely going to see coalitions across the board. I think in lots of this main metros, you're going to see coalitions. So what's the strategy of dealing with that coalition to be able to achieve what you want to achieve?
We have had good learnings with the previous coalitions, and we know what really fundamentally goes wrong when it comes to coalitions. And it starts with the principle of what is the vision, and the key is who are you putting to be in that coalition, to lead that coalition. The reason things fail is because you put the wrong people that are going to drive narrow party agenda, not the vision of the collective coalition that serves the people. And hence you then there is this tension of pulling. You want to report to Lutuli House. We don't report, we report to the citizens of Joburg. If a party wants to correlate with us, because it's a partnership and we believe in partnerships. Even building Joburg, we have to get partnerships, whether private, etc. So we must learn to partner with political parties or private sector, women, youth, whatever. But the fundamental basic principles must be aligned. We are there to serve, and we are going to put the right people that are fit for purpose, that know that they report to the public of South Africa. They are accountable to the greater good, but not to a particular party in terms of what they want to achieve under the table. That we are not prepared to correlate with.
Yeah, these coalitions are very complicated, and I think a lot of lessons have been learned by all sides in this situation. What are your predictions, though, Dr. Khosa? What do you think is going to happen in eThekwini? Because it's highly unlikely that you will sweep the board and get like 50+1 in eThekwini. But even if you make a good showing, you'll still have to work with other people. Who are you not prepared to work with, and who are you prepared to work with? Not just in terms of parties, but in terms of what Colleen's talking about here. The people who you think are coming to the table as honest negotiators, and the people who you just don't trust.
Yeah, basically what we have in eThekwini is that right now the ANC is sitting on at 56%. It lost, it came down from 62% in the last election. And we know that the polls currently are saying the ANC is going to lose more than 8% of its support in eThekwini. So, wow. I mean, we have to be realistic. Coalitions are going to be with us for a while as citizens are trying to find the right people or the right party that can lead them outright. However, we are not prepared to work with the ANC. And there is a simple reason for that. The reason is that our view is that the ANC is rotten from top to bottom. And even the way they are not transparent, they've been a ruling party for a long time in eThekwini. I think they only the IFP ran for one term from 1996. After that, it was just the ANC all the way. And our experience with the ANC is that it is not transparent, it is not willing to be held accountable. Hence, we were even making those points that we were making earlier on, that they don't even want to come and tell South Africans what are they going to do differently. So that is why we are not going to be working with them.
And but how is that going to work? Even if they lose, Dr. Kosi, even if they lose 8%, even if they lose 8%, they still have a very high margin, right? So how is it going to work when you say we are not prepared to work with an ANC in the coalition if they have such a high margin? Even if they're 30%, you would still need to work with them.
Let me tell you, if I say we are not going to be in coalition with them, in other words, we are not going to allow the ANC to dictate terms to us. From a point of view of the fact that you might have people who are ward councillors who are representing the ANC and they have their own constituencies that they have to respond to, that even we as councillors in eThekwini will have to ensure that when we decide on our budget priorities, we take those factors into account. So we are going to work with them from that point of view. But from the point of view of allowing the ANC to dictate terms to us, we are not going to. And let me tell you why I am saying so. Already I have been approached by some in the ANC who are saying, Makosi, listen, from the way things are going, and we know that you are going to be picking up a lot of votes from us. We are willing to support you to be the mayor, provided that you are going to give us infrastructure, to head infrastructure. Now, I'm very suspicious. The minute the ANC is telling you that they wanted to head the infrastructure, I'm getting worried because I know what they have done with the infrastructure in the first place.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the name Zandile Gumede. And I wonder how much damage has been done in that particular municipality by that person. And, you know, the network that she had in operation there, we know about all those tenders and the criminal charges that were laid against her. It's a bit of a mess. This is a tough job. I asked your colleague Herman Mashaba this when he was on the show a little while ago, Dr. Khoza. And, you know, I said to him, why? And there are all sorts of altruistic reasons that he gave for running for mayor of Johannesburg. And why would he put himself in this position when he doesn't have to? Durban is also a really tough place to try and fix. In fact, you could say it's much worse than Johannesburg in some ways. To fix that problem is a nasty job. There's no credit, there's no love, there's no joy in it. It's pure hard work. Colleen, why would you want to start fixing Joburg by the same estimation?
Look, Gareth, you know, we all arrived in Joburg for a purpose. All of us came to Joburg somehow, you know, and we came to Joburg for opportunities. We came to Joburg for jobs, and Joburg was known for that. The glory of Joburg was the ability to provide opportunities. Infrastructure was impeccable, economic hub, you know, of the country and even of the continent, a gateway of the international world. Look at what is happening in Joburg right now. Everybody's running, local and international companies are running to Cape Town. We can't even provide basic internet, in this day and age, 21st century. Never mind, I'm not even going to talk about water, electricity, because that's just a shame. And everywhere where the city of Joburg is trying to provide services, it's in shambles. It affects me. I'm okay. I can get a job in the private sector and carry on with my life. My children go to a private school, but I've got cousins, I've got helpers, I've got people that I don't live in a vacuum. If I don't make your space safe, if I don't provide an opportunity for you to get a job, tomorrow you're going to rape my child, hijack my child. You're going to find means to provide for your own children. And for me, I'm coming from that perspective to say it's not just about me being okay. It's about everybody being okay in a place called Johannesburg, where we all arrive from different areas. I remember growing up in Guyana, I come from Limpopo, Guyana, people that used to come to Joburg. And at the time, my ambition was to go live in Shawel and Alex. I didn't even know there was Morningside and Midrand, etc. They will come home month end, happy, singing, pride, full of dignity, with, these Machangan bags full of goods, full of clothes for their children, providing for their families in different villages, etc. What is happening now is that our grandparents, our mothers in the villages in different provinces are sending money to graduates in Joburg. When we went to VETS to talk to some of the students in UJ, it is so sad, the fear that they have to say, look, maybe we're wasting our time here. We should just go find a tender somewhere. We need political connections, because that's how you make it here in this country. They are afraid that they are going to be queuing for 350 grants when they finish their degrees. I don't want my son, when he finishes his degree, to go and queue for a 350 grant. No, we have to do something about this country. We have to do something about the city of Joburg in particular. The economy must start to work. And if the economy works, we know that it can provide those opportunities inclusively. Youth, women, local, international, foreigners who are well documented and legal. Let us all have opportunities. We all came here for the same thing in Joburg. That's my reason for running.
Will either of you work with the EFF?
Like I said, we want to know who it is in the EFF that we're going to be working with. Like Makosa said, we don't know what we don't know. If they're coming in with people that we feel are just going to drag us down, put our reputation at stake, they are not fit for purpose, we'll not be prepared to go into coalition with them. But if they raise proper candidates that have the right qualification, competencies, and we subscribe to the same vision of serving the city, yes, we will consider working with them.
Okay. Dr. Khoza, would you consider working with the EFF in eThekwini?
Local government, as I said earlier on, is about basic services. It is the sum total of life. So, as my dear from COPE is saying, if they bring competent people, skilled people, rational people, there is no reason why we shouldn't work with them. And with us as Action SA, we've had Herman Mashaba leading a coalition in the city of Johannesburg. He worked with them very well, much to the disgust of his former political party. They didn't like it, so which is why their relationship eventually broke down. So I am saying to you, we know that they can select people who are capable if they choose to. So if they bring those people, we are not dealing ideology here. We're not going to be dealing with nationalization of the Reserve Bank, for goodness sake. We're just going to be dealing with water, sanitation, housing, and those type of issues.
Right. Practical stuff.
Yes.
Pums, are you decided yet? Because you said you've got a very good councillor in your area, and I wonder what would persuade people in Johannesburg and eThekwini here, based on what these two candidates have said now. Is it going to be their practical delivery? Because we don't know until we see it, right? Is it going to be the promises they make? This is the awful position that you politicians are in, and I'm very mean about politicians usually, and I think a lot of people have a minimum of trust in politicians because there's always overpromise and underdeliver. But in this case, what would persuade you, Pums?
So, besides what would persuade me, what I'm very interested to hear from the ladies is what the feedback you get from the voters. As you are out there campaigning, what is the feedback that you are getting in terms of, are they even going to show up to vote?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, I can shoot first if you want me to.
Go for it, absolutely.
Any one of you.
Sure. Okay. Look, Pums, that's a very painful thing, and I'm going to make an example again around Braamfontein, where the youth are, and we've got a high percentage of youth, especially in Joburg. They do not want to go and vote. And they are very despondent. They are in despair. It's almost like, you know what, this thing of politics. They are not making the connection between their issue and politics, between their ability to get a job and the mayor and council that sits in their city. And I think that political education needs to be drilled down, especially to the youth. I'm very, very concerned, I must tell you, about the responses that we're getting from the youth. The older generation, is more likely to go and vote because of where they have been, where they came from in the apartheid area. They still have the fresh memory of what it means to make a cross. It means your movement. It means your freedom. It means you can have a house. The youth are not able to make that connection yet. And I think it's the neglected part. But also because of the rot that they see. Gareth, you said it right. Who trusts politicians? And one of the things that we feel we bring to the table as candidates from COPE, we are not I'm not a politician, and I don't have an ambition to be a politician. I'm somebody who's a professional, who's a corporate woman, who wants to make a difference in a political space. And I think that has to be clear. And if I cannot make that difference, I'll pack my bags tomorrow, I'll go get a job at Telkom and work there. So I'm not there as a career politician. I haven't been to exile. I'm not a card-carrying member of, a loyalist, etc. I'm a citizen of South Africa, and I'm saying that I see that there is a need to provide contributions and skills and guidance to the city of Joburg. And I feel for the pain of the youth, especially, and our elders who are sick and have no electricity. Some people can't even write exams now, because electricity is on and off. Yesterday, we had to cancel a press briefing because half of the people were stuck in robots, etc. It was load shedding. What is that in Johannesburg?
Yeah. We're meant to be the powerhouse, the engine of the continent. Dr. Khoza, to Pumi's question about campaigning, are a lot of people saying they're just going to stay away? They're just not interested? Is it harder to convince people than ever because of the ANC and their track record?
My response is similar to that of Colleen. However, in eThekwini, we have a different set of challenges. Violence and intimidation are major factors that are a put off to people. As you know, just a few weeks ago, women went to some ANC BGM, and they were going to finalize their ward candidate, and people were simply shot randomly. 3 women lost their lives. And so many people are asking us questions. Dr. Khoza, we want to vote for you. We know you in action. However, the problem that we have is that the ANC is going to rig elections. How are we going to deal with the fact that they have not even, the IEC has not put your name in the ballot paper? We want to vote for Action SA and not the logo. So we have a lot of challenges, and the youth is not that much interested. We are seeing a lot of middle class being more interested in this. However, what is very important to me, I think the people that live in informal settlements, who are living in appalling conditions, they are willing to take their chance with new political parties, because they are saying, we have been failed repeatedly and we want somebody new. And to me, that is very encouraging. Hence, we are offering ourselves, we offer ourselves, even though we know the risks that are there, so that people at least they have alternatives. They are not stuck with the old that is not working.
Dr. Khoza, that's a very serious statement about the fact that there is intimidation at the... Do you think that there will be intimidation at the polls in KZN? In eThekwini, for instance, you've told us about people that have been killed, councillors that have been shot. Do you think that it's not safe for people to go out and vote?
In Ward 79 in Umlazi, we've had a VD bent down. And we have even areas where we are told we can't go into those areas because they don't want any competition. They don't want anybody to come in. And I mean, if you understand how thankless this job is, I don't know how many times I've been chased, and now I have to have a bodyguard. I don't like bodyguards, but I'm forced to campaign with bodyguards for fear of my life. So it's a very difficult environment that we are operating in eThekwini.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
if I can add to that, Gareth.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a mayoral candidate in Ekurhuleni who was also threatened, and his children too. Like Mark was saying, he's had to get, a protection bodyguard, and mainly because he was tweeting and on his social media calling out things that are wrong within the municipality. And so the very same people in the governing party, it's allegations, of course, it's under investigations. He received serious threats. So it's really, really serious. I haven't personally received that, but we know some of the councillors in our area as well who have to have special protection.
Can I just ask you both, because I'm not entirely sure where Action SA and COPE are campaigning. I'm now aware, obviously, in Johannesburg that you're the candidate, Colleen, and in eThekwini it's you, Dr. Khoza. But where else in the country are Action SA focused, and where else in the country are COPE focused? Because you don't have the resources maybe that a huge big party has to contest every ward in every municipality. So where are your main focuses? Colleen, where are COPE most where are they going to fight the hardest, and where do they have a presence?
We are fighting the hardest in Joburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, mainly in Gauteng, and then also in Limpopo, the Tzaneen area. So those are our key focus, because we feel those are the areas that we have a lot of support and we can contest every ward. And because we feel that if we contest in that manner, we're able to get good numbers and make a difference. There's no point to contest in other areas where you just get some small number and you just have a seat, but there's really no contribution that is significant that you can make. So we focus our resources where we feel we can make a difference.
And Dr. Khoza, where is Action SA besides Herman in Johannesburg and you in eThekwini?
Well, Action SA nationally, we are only contesting 6 municipalities. And that strategy is working effectively for us because, I mean, last night I was on Vuma FM and the anchor was asking me, where did you get all these resources from? You seem to have more posters, more promotional materials, more than anybody else. And I think it was because we took the deliberate decision of contesting the 3 metros in Joburg, 1 metro in Durban, and 2 other municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal, and that is Newcastle, which is inland, and KwaDukuza. And I think it's working very well for us. And I do think that it's going to create a very, very good base for us for 2024. And again, I do think that it is, this thing of trying to spread yourself too much. All other new political parties have tried that and it has failed. So we've learned from their own mistakes as well. So we decided to do it this manner so that it's, we're offering people something new, but we are very focused. We are not going everywhere.
And what about the issue of work and jobs? We were talking a little bit earlier that even if you were to scrap the debt, one of the biggest problems that municipalities have all over the country is raising sufficient income, because people are not working, therefore people are not paying rates and taxes, people are unable to participate in the economy. What is your plan, your strategy, your ideas around that?
Well, in eThekwini, it's very easy. In eThekwini, for us, we think that we have not maximized the potential of tourism in that city. I mean, we have the beaches, we have everything there, but people do not actually understand that if you talk about the Valley of 1,000 Hills, you are still talking about eThekwini. If you're talking about Inanda Dam, you are talking about the 18 traditional leadership. And we do believe that those areas, we can diversify our tourism products. And tourism is very, very labor intensive. If you package it correctly and you make sure that as the city you work with the private sector in terms of developing those tourism products, I believe you me, we will be able to absorb people, a lot of people where they live. Because this thing of people moving from their areas right to the city center is also a challenge that you have to manage. You can't stop it, but you have to manage it. And that is why we are focusing on diversification of tourism products in eThekwini.
Yeah, I think that's always the overwhelming problem across the country, but in metros especially, because that's why people gravitate to them. People come to Johannesburg and to Durban for jobs. And tourism may be a way of solving some of those problems, but we also need to work on industry and manufacturing and bring back jobs that we've lost to other parts of the world because we're not competitive. Of course, that's a national government issue, but there's stuff we can consider at the local level.
You are absolutely right, Gareth. At local government level, by the way, there is a lot that you can do. In fact, Chapter 7 of the Constitution is making it a mandate of local government to stimulate local economic development. And I think we have forgotten about incentivizing, businesses and making sure that we create a conducive environment for them. Like, for example, currently in eThekwini, if you apply for a trading license, it takes forever to get that. And I think we are losing a lot of investment because of that. But with us where we are standing now, we are really going to work with SASRIA very, very hard because a lot of businesses were touched during that week of the 8th of July. Right. And we have to resuscitate those businesses, and we have to make sure that we build the business confidence so that the remaining businesses don't leave the city.
Yeah, those riots and looting incidents of July, those were obviously a big wake-up call to many people in South Africa. They were also a source of huge controversy for some. We know that communities and neighborhoods stood up for themselves. They stood together. There were many people who had to take matters into their own hands when it came to protection. And there's obviously been a lot of political fallout. I see people making huge noise about DA posters, but they're not addressing any of the issues that are actually going on between these communities. And it's fine to get cross with the DA, but it wasn't the DA that stoked these fires, and it wasn't. It was all intra-ANC stuff that caused all this trouble. I mean, somebody says here in the comments, there was a big aggressive nighttime march in the Durban beachfront a week ago, in fact, where people were bussed in. I didn't see any media coverage, but I wouldn't want to contest Inanda. Is that also one of the areas that is of great concern, Dr. Khoza?
We are contesting all the 111 wards in eThekwini. Nobody is going to take away our hard-fought right. And I'm very happy and I honor those who have decided to stand, in those areas, some of those volatile areas. So, but Gareth, I think you also have to be responsible here. You can't really be fueling racial tensions during an election campaign in particular. I mean, the truth is, even though we have not addressed the inequalities that continue to persist, the truth is the Black Africans and Indian people have lived side by side. Had the security class responded, there would not have been that massive looting and shooting. So I am saying, for you as a political party to use that as a slogan, to me, I find it very destructive. I find it distasteful because you are really fueling tensions. We need to move on. As South Africans, we need to start seeing each other as South Africans so that we can build this country, so that we can develop more patriots, people who are ready to die for this country, who are ready to fix this country, will do whatever it takes to build this country.
I think interesting points being made there. What do you guys think of the other small parties? I mean, there's some of them that you obviously are close to and that you've already worked with as Action SA and as COPE in different municipalities. But the IFP, the UDM, there are parties like the Vryheidsfront Plus. There are parties like the DA even. Are you happy to work with all of them, or are there any no-nos there? Like you said, for example, that you're not going to work with the ANC in terms of coalitions. Are you happy to consider all the others, Dr. Khoza?
Well, as I said, and Colleen, I think, put it very well. If you have a capable individual who is fit for purpose, we are willing to work with you. And local government is about service delivery. I'll keep on laboring this point. If you have somebody, even if that person is coming from the ANC for that matter, if that person's attitude is that which is fit for purpose, that which is about people and not serving self, then we are going to work with those individuals. But at organizational level, no for the ANC, because we are in this mess because of the factional, corruption-driven battles of the ANC.
And Colleen, you agree?
100% I agree. And, just to take it a bit further down, why we keep emphasizing on the right people. Because Pumi raised a good question, say, how do you create jobs? You create jobs by attracting investors. Why do people invest? They invest because they see who is driving that entity, the good governance within that. Any business person will tell you that when I do a business plan, I go and present, first and foremost, an investor wants to understand you, your vision, who are you? So if we are going to be creating jobs, building the economy, we have to have credible people at the front who are going to make certain commitments and be able to keep those commitments and attract the investors. And because it's only through investments that we can build those manufacturing plants once again that you're talking about. We can then be able to revive some of these economies. We know Joburg as an example. Mining is declining, we're not even going to go there. What else is there to then bring Joburg up to its glory? We have to look at different sectors, whether small-scale manufacturing, we are looking at smart city concept using technology and fintech, etc., making Joburg again that financial hub, but different technological ways, new ways of doing things, and that has to take a different caliber of leaders that think differently, and that trust must be created with investors. And so we are very pedantic and we are very, very strong on that point. The right people that will be able to conceptualize what we are talking about and be trustworthy, reliable to the investors as well when we go and present the strategies, because that has to be number one in order to create jobs.
Well, listen, you've both you've woken up many of us to some of the issues in your particular municipalities, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. Is there a warm reception for you out there? Are people excited to see you, or are they kind of these politicians? Are they a little bit cynical? What's going on when you go and visit? When you go and campaign, Dr. Khoza, are they happy to see you? You're a well-known face in South Africa now.
Well, with me, it's been quite humbling. I mean, but at the same time, it's frightening because I think people have very, very high expectations. And it's been a warm reception from all the different human race groups in eThekwini, cultural groups, religious groupings. I mean, I have on average more than 9 meetings in a day, on average 9 meetings, because I'm working with different people. Everybody's coming on board. How can we help? And I must say that it's been quite humbling. And South Africans never forget a person that has stood for them during the hardest of times. And I think I'm lucky in the sense in that South Africans have not forgotten what I had done before for them.
And what about you, Colleen? Getting a good reception?
Our reception is quite interesting on the ground, Gareth, because COPE, when it first started, it had over 1 million voters. There was an overwhelming love for COPE. People wanted this party to succeed. And suddenly,
I was one of those people, and I felt like listen, I still have a lot of time for Monsieur Lekota.
Yes.
But I felt like I'd wasted a vote.
And there is the kind of reaction we're getting is people like you who are angry to say, Cope, you've let us down. Where have you been? And now what happened? You are supposed to do this and this. So now they are kind of it's that mixture of anger and relief, and they move then towards happiness to say, now you're here. Can we redo this? Can we rebuild this thing? Can we do it right this time? What have you changed that will ensure that, our vote with you really means something in this city? So we are taking people from that kind of attitude of cope, what happened, to now, okay, we are rallying behind you. We're back now. We are starting to campaign with you. So we're happy with that.
I'm pleased to meet you for the first time on the show, but our audience they ask tough questions. Lucky Matlapeng says the Joburg CBD belongs to non-South Africans. Do you agree with that? And what do you say to that?
He's correct, and I addressed it yesterday in our media to say there is a lot of foreigners in Johannesburg, and I'm going to focus a little bit on CBD for now, but you must remember that foreigners are everywhere in Joburg, whether it's Sandton, etc. But the issue is that the illegal foreigners that have come in there and they've hijacked the buildings, they've been a source of crime, etc. And we as COPE are very clear, and we made it clear yesterday in the media to say, we welcome foreigners. Joburg was built on the back of foreigners, migrants, and everybody. We welcome foreigners that are well documented, that have a reason to be here, that even have a refugee status that is well documented. But any foreigner that cannot answer to those questions, why they are here, why they are not properly documented, we do not want them in our city, because then we can't track and trace them. I was educated in Malaysia. I was a foreigner in a country. I went there to get skills. I was treated with love, with respect. And I've come back to South Africa and I'm contributing. We want foreigners to bring skills, bring investment, bring resources, etc. But let the rule of law apply. And we also are saying, in terms of South Africans policy, our bylaw will make sure that it will be the indigenous people first. When it comes to basic services, we have to prioritize our people. Any country in the world does that. Housing, our people first. Jobs, our people first. Opportunities, our people first. Basic services, our people first. Then foreign nationals can come in. But if we don't have that rule of law and that clear policy on how to handle foreign nationals, that's where the confusion comes, and we're breeding hostility, violence, and all sorts of things that we don't want. We live in an international community, global world, 21st century. We can't do without foreigners, but we have to apply a rule of law and proper policies that are clear and implemented.
Well, that's all we got time for, I'm afraid. Any parting shot from you, Dr. Khoza? Give us your last pitch on why the Action SA people are the best people in Ekurhuleni.
Well, first of all, I must say
eThekwini. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Giving you another walk.
Thank you very much for correcting yourself. First of all, let me say, Colleen, I love you so much. I wish you could join Action SA. But apart from that, we would really, really work with the Metro Police, reorientate the Metro Police to start addressing the issues of these buildings that have been hijacked in eThekwini. And we'll work with Home Affairs as well to make sure that we actually deal with those illegal and undocumented immigrants. Honestly, guys, there is no country in the world that can compromise its sovereignty like the way we have done in South Africa. We even have sitting political parties who are saying, get into South Africa and find creative ways of getting in. That can't be right. We are not a banana republic. We want the rule of law. We are saying eThekwini citizens first as eThekwini municipality, and will do everything that it takes to ensure that we introduce quality systems throughout the organization and make sure that every single citizen and businesses feel that they have something to contribute in building our eThekwini city, as well as cleaning up the eThekwini municipality. It's so filthy. I just feel like going out there right now and picking up papers and all the crime that is there.
Well, to close it off, Sean says, talk is cheap, doing is impressive. I wish you both luck so that we can see you doing and get past the talking stage. But we'll only know about that in about 15 or 16 days' time. So thank you very much, Colleen. Thank you very much, Makhubele. And Pumi, any last word from you? Have either of them persuaded you?
Good luck is all I have to say.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gareth. Thank you, Pumi. Thank you, Makhubele. I love you too. I may not join XSA.
All right, so we may even have some people jumping ship here by the sound of things.
Crossing the floor.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have an excellent Thursday. We will see